What is going on, guys? Welcome back. Commentary for you. Yesterday's video, I thought 8 minutes wrapped it up. I really did. But you guys had a lot of questions. And I understand that. And, I also want to come out and say that one of the largest undertones of that video was, why is no one else talking about this? I don't know. I don't have an answer to that question. When I saw the writing on the wall with this, the first thing I was going to do was be open with you guys and communicate this to you guys. And if anyone isn't concerned about this in the community, in my opinion, they're being very naive with themselves. So I want to thank Fullscreen as well. I didn't thank them before. They've been my MCN the entire time. I have nothing but positive things to say about them. They are a massive company, if you aren't aware, obviously under the Time Warner network. And they've been very helpful in giving us tools and resources, trying to discern how each one of us specifically can deal with this. And I want to try to elaborate on my thought process here. So let me explain it to you this way, because when I thought of it this way and when I had it approached to me in this way, it really changed my perspective. You have to understand that, we're not talking about a judge and a jury. I'm not going to have an opportunity to appeal. I'm not going to be able to go to a hearing and say, but understand that my content is this or is that. It's really going to come down to the basis of what is the content made with. So if you're painting a wall, okay, you're using paint, you are a painter. If you were staining a floor, you are a carpenter, you are staining. That type of broad brush labeling, pun completely intended because I was using, workmanship in my analogies, is how they're going to view a lot of this, which means, in my opinion, in my perspective, if you are using video games, whether we like this or not, and that's probably the hardest thing that I had to come to terms with, because, there is some stereotyping here, and I've always felt that myself and anybody that I was friends with that played video games, that stereotype is so unfair that, games are just for children. But we have to understand that to a lot of the public, that is the perception, okay? And you're going to have people that are looking at content and saying, well, if it's made with video games, and video games are marketed towards children, then that content must be geared for a child. And that's something that's really hard to work around. As much as I want to sit here and justify my own content that I've put years in, right? Building, creating, sharing, I know I wouldn't be able to justify that to every single person. And in knowing that, all that means to me is all it takes is one wrong person to say a gaming channel is geared towards children. I can personally disagree with that. I can personally say that is the most ignorant, arrogant, stereotypical statement someone could ever make. But unfortunately, I also know that we live in a society of stereotypes, of broad brushing, of what isn't good needs to be removed at all costs. And that's why I said I'm comfortable with this in a way. Because the greater good is a child. If it was something else, I probably wouldn't feel as good about it. But I think we all understand, to one point or another, it takes a village to raise a child, right? And we can sit here and we can get on our soapboxes and say, well, if parents were more involved or if families were more involved, none of this would happen. And that very well may be true. But we also can't ignore that there's negative things in our society that impact a child. And some of it may be malicious. And some of it may be intentionally harming. And I know I stand for all those things against that. But I also know that someone that's very narrow-minded may group enough things together to where they start to envelop a whole community of gaming channels. As far as the money is concerned, listen, I will probably make less, and I'm okay with that. As I said, this isn't my full-time job. It never was. It never will be. The financial aspect of it was great. Okay, no one's going to turn away a couple $1,000s a month. That's just plain logic. There's work that goes into it, but there's a lot of enjoyment. So when you talk about, $2 a month through Patreon, what we're really talking about is essentially what you were giving me per click anyway, that 2 cents, 4 cents, whatever the case may be, just being distributed in a different model. And if you don't want to do that, that's okay. That's your prerogative. That's your perspective, just like I have mine. But the fact remains, we all know that we have to comply with these laws and regulations. And if we don't, we have the potential to be fined by the FTC $42,000 for each mislabeled video. I don't care if you have the biggest channel or the smallest channel. No one on YouTube is prepared for a $42,000 per fine video. Per video fine. Words are hard. So that's where I am. As far as, well, why don't you just keep creating content? The problem is, the way this is structured, even if I did, it really damages my reach anyway. They're going to remove my community tab. They're going to remove the comment section. They're going to remove my notification bell. So now I've closed all those doors, all the things that I loved about being a creator. I've lost my interaction with you. I've lost your ability to agree or disagree with me. You've lost your ability to be told when I have a video coming up. Sure, you might come here every day at 6:30 or 7 o'clock because you know that's when a video goes up. But we both know, if you can't comment on it, are you really going to come back? If you can't have a discussion with me, something that I prided myself on. There's a lot of creators that don't take time for you, that don't want to sit there hours a day and respond to you. But I strive to always not be that person. If I lose that interaction, am I not going to get complacent? Am I going to say, you know what? This isn't worth it to me anymore. Because what was worth it to me wasn't so much the content as much as it was you guys. Whether it was an argument or an agreement, that's what made this fun. That's what made going out and trying to make games better enjoyable, was having that bond between a creator and a viewer or a subscriber. And when we lose that bond, there's no real point in doing this anymore. Now, the reason I have to go to Patreon, in my opinion, again, this is all my opinion, is these laws regulate just about everywhere we go. So if I were to say go to Twitch, same laws still apply, same guidelines, same principles are still there. But if you put yourself behind a minute paywall, a $2 a month paywall, guess what? A 13-year-old doesn't have access to a credit card. And if he does, he gets his parents' permission to charge. So you're in the clear from those regulations as long as you're putting yourself in that position. And that's what led me down a path that I already have. I think that for me is the safest bet. In closing, anyone that thinks this is not a safe bet, I will leave you with this. Understand, over the past number of years, the amount of fines that could have been levied are nearly unable to be calculated. Probably in the trillions, as people have exploited YouTube in the sake of children. If you don't think that there is going to be just a little bit of let's go back and get them, then you're out of your mind. If you don't think that they're not going to have a room full of thousands of people ready to label and mark videos, then you have to reevaluate what you're thinking. Because I know that they will be. And I trust that they will be. Because the automated systems don't always get it right. We learned that the last time. When everybody lost monetization. This is only a year and a half ago, it seems like. Where we all had to resubmit. We learned right then the automated algorithms weren't going to cut it. That it took a human interaction. It took somebody watching a video and saying, yes, this is suitable for all ages. What do you think is going to happen the second time? It's going to be far worse. And listen, I hate to say it this way, but I think a lot of people are just ignoring this because they don't want to think about change. They don't want to think about losing their income. They don't want to think about what they're going to have to do next. But I am. I'm not going to sit here and take a $40,000 fine because somebody's going to sit back and say video game videos are made with video games and video games are sold to children, so therefore you're marketing to children. And I just don't see any other way this goes. For those that say the gaming companies won, I mean, in a way, you couldn't be more wrong because they're going to be just as impacted as everyone else. Because guess what? They sell that product. Now, to them, it's going to be a much easier loss. They're not going to be worried about, well, we can't monetize our advertisement, our trailer, our full feature breakdown. So they might lose out on that, but they're still going to get the revenue from the sale of the game. They're still going to have the promotion of the game available. They're just going to monetize the promotion. All it's going to take is one person. When one person gets hit, we just don't know who that person's going to be. But I do promise you, the person that goes down, the first person that gets hit with that fine, is going to be in here telling you they didn't know any better. It shouldn't have happened to them. It's not their fault. They don't understand. I feel bad for that person now, knowing what's happening. Because we don't get an appeal on this. We don't get a second opinion on this. We get a bill. No one knew how things would end, right? No one thought that we were just going to do this forever. At least I didn't. How does a channel end? I didn't think it would be this way. But the great thing is, I've got a month and a half ahead of me. I'm going to hope that they come to a resolution. If not, I've got a backup plan for you guys. And if you don't think that I'm not going to go out with as much content as possible, no, then you don't know me very well. So we're going to burn the proverbial candle from both ends. We're going to hope for the best, but we're going to prepare for the expected. And I would hope anybody else would do the same. I'm going to put a link down in this description to a very well-written article by vidIQ. I would recommend anybody check it out. There's a lot of very transparent information there for a creator or for a viewer or a subscriber. I think if you don't want to listen to my opinion on it, that's fine, but I think their opinion of it will do a lot, maybe in terms of answering questions that you don't have or things I didn't cover, or things that I really just don't think pertain. I feel like it'll be very helpful for you or anyone that has questions about this going forward. And hopefully, you know, as creators, we can all come out and speak about this. And YouTube can see the actual impact it's going to have on their community. And they can try to do something to mitigate these damages and keep the gaming community intact. I don't think anyone needs to be protected. I think we need to make sure that we're targeting the actual individuals that need to be targeted. And I don't feel like that's something that's being done right now. Probably the longest video I've ever done. I appreciate you guys checking this out, and you know, I will be back in the week with more commentary.